doctors that are undocumented?
Yes.
They're undocumented. Unfortunately,
I'll say this, not to cut you off. So I am an undocumented doctor.
Okay.
I am undocumented. My friend Francisco here is also undocumented. The reason we're doing this is we're trying to bring that narrative. I think a lot of people are unfamiliar with the contributions that undocumented immigrants give to this country. We contribute billions in taxes. So I just graduated med school 6 months ago, and I'm in a position, I appreciate that. And it is unique, right? It's interesting. You don't hear too many undocumented. We have friends that are undocumented lawyers helping people become citizens, but they themselves can't become citizens because the policies here are very interesting. So I'm on the chopping block. I am literally putting myself at risk even in being in this environment. Do you think it's beneficial after all the years I've been here and how much I could give back to this country to send me back?
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, absolutely. Any questions you have, I'm open to.
Because honestly,
it is an interesting.
Yes,
what is it that? Why can't you become documented?
Yeah.
Fair question.
My question.
Yeah, fair question. So, what's your guys' names and where you coming from?
Joshua from South Carolina.
Chelsea from South Carolina.
You guys perfect. So, what brings you into town? What brings you to D.C.?
The inauguration. We always wanted to catch a Trump rally, but we never had a chance to work, things like that. But we kind of planned this out to come over here, and this be our first support of him.
Awesome.
Definitely want to be a part of history also. Just seeing him cross that milestone because he worked so hard to get there. And also he was the person that kind of turned us this direction of being Republican in the first place.
Were you guys in support of him and during his first run as president?
No, not at all.
No.
What shifted? What shifted for you all?
For me, it was the performance of what the country was in currently. It just wasn't a good state to me, and I compared it to when Trump was in office, and it was drastically better when Trump was in office.
Yeah. And for me, we have 3 boys. For me, it was about what the trend was going with all of the different laws that were being signed into our land, and I didn't agree with that. Also, financially, it seems to me like our income is going up, but our costs are also going up. That did not make sense to us. And if I had to also say, it didn't make sense. It seems like we're weaker in the whole country's eyes. We literally are a joke right now. So that was some barriers that turned me towards the campaign we're supporting.
Right, like globally, a lot of people have gotten hit hard. Do you think that's more of a consequences of coming out of a global pandemic, that no matter who the president was, it was going to be this hard for all of us?
Well, for me, knowing that the United States is a big nation in the world. We are supposedly a leading nation in the world. So I feel like whatever we do, there's a trend. We set the standard. So I do feel like greatly if we had somebody in office who knew kind of what they were doing economically, then I don't think we would have fell so hard as well as the other countries. Because if we're supposed to be leading, they wouldn't have fell so hard either.
Right, I agree. About putting America first, most, and us going back to the way like we used to do our own thing, and we used to not depend on those countries like we are now. And then that global pandemic, it hit us, and then we need to go back to where it was, where we didn't depend on them.
Okay. So if Trump gets in office, grocery prices don't come down, gas prices continue to go up, things are still difficult, how would that make you feel?
For me, I definitely will be let down. That's definitely the word I would use there. But I do understand the mess took 4 years for him to fix. Then someone else got in the office, took 4 years for them to really mess it up. So I could expect there to be a delay. But at the same time, I'm hopeful. I'm not saying he's the end all be all, but I need a change, and I need a change now.
One last topic. Trump has really been emphasizing mass deportation. He has really been emphasizing, he says, that my first day in office, I'm going to implement the largest deportation that this country has ever seen starting day one. He's going to utilize his executive order, executive power to do that. How does that make you feel? What do you think of that, deporting millions of undocumented immigrants?
I think personally, you got to do what you got to do to kind of clean up the mess. It's just gotten way out of hand, and we need to just start scratch from new and just probably that might be the best plan.
To deport millions of people?
Yeah, I think so.
Does it make you feel some sort of way? You have 3 children yourself, that there's going to be a lot of family separation that's going to take place?
I mean, I feel like they can come in the country the right way. Like if they come in and get their documents like they should, that's the way that you're supposed to do. It's the land under the law. Like you can't just go wherever and plant yourself and be like, hey, this is where I am now. And I think that you got to follow the process. So
let me give you an example. There are situations where people have been here decades, 10, 15, 20 years. They came here with a visa, maybe overstayed a visa, but now they have started a family. Their kids are citizens. They themselves are not. Do you think it's okay to send those people back and separate them from their families?
It's a hard yes. It's a hard yes. Because there are policies and procedures that we have to uphold ourselves to as Americans. We're penalized for certain things, so it shouldn't be a different standard that we set for people who just come into our country and do it their way versus how it's set in law to do it. And it is a hard yes, and it's one of those, it's not a fun subject to talk about, but it is something I would have to agree and stand on with Trump about.
So let's fast forward. Let's say it's been a couple years.
Yeah.
They started deportation processes immediately, and now millions of folk have been deported. Farm workers, construction workers, all the services we see, hotels, a lot of undocumented folk working in these industries. What happens next? Who takes up those roles?
I would reckon anyone who applies for the job, and it's not any shade, any tea, but I have found myself on the job market during this last administration, and when I tell you, it is hard to find a job, and a serious job. I'm not talking about anything extra. I'm not talking about corporate America. I'm just talking about simple jobs even are very hard to come by. So,
do you think Americans will be willing to work 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, in the farms the way that undocumented folk are, and working for far less than minimum wage, often at $7 an hour?
Well, no, I don't think they should be doing that anyways.
Yeah, they shouldn't be doing that.
I think that workers need to get what they deserve from companies anyways.
Yeah.
So when they come over here and they're doing stuff for less because they know they're undocumented, it's messing up for people that's documented essentially, because they know that, hey, we can pay these people less because they're undocumented.
Yeah.
We don't want you. We'll choose them because they're going to take less.
I guess my question is that Americans will be able to fulfill the humongous void that will take place under the circumstance of mass deportation.
They're going to have to. They're going to have to. And again, it's one of those things that we're going to have to meet when we get to that point. We are from South Carolina, and our minimum wage is nowhere near $15 an hour.
Yeah.
So maybe one of those places where it is $15 an hour, $10 an hour, then they will have to fill those gaps. But one of the words you said was big corporations, and I think they're more than capable of meeting those demands when they make those cuts at the top, and that is what it is.
And I guess my last question is, what do you think of those working professionals that are like doctors that are undocumented? Is it beneficial to the country to deport people like that?
Doctors that are undocumented?
Yes.
They're undocumented. Unfortunately,
I'll say this, not to cut you off. So I am an undocumented doctor.
Okay.
I am undocumented. My friend Francisco here is also undocumented. The reason we're doing this is we're trying to bring that narrative. I think a lot of people are unfamiliar with the contributions that undocumented immigrants give to this country. We contribute billions in taxes. So I just graduated med school 6 months ago, and I'm in a position, I appreciate that. And it is unique, right? It's interesting. You don't hear too many undocumented. We have friends that are undocumented lawyers helping people become citizens, but they themselves can't become citizens because the policies here are very interesting. So I'm undocumented. I've been here 30 years. Okay. So I'm on the chopping block. I am literally putting myself at risk even in being in this environment. Do you think it's beneficial after all the years I've been here and how much I could give back to this country to send me back?
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, absolutely. Any questions you have, I'm open to.
Because honestly,
it is an interesting.
Yes.
What is it that? Why can't you become documented?
Yeah.
Fair question.
My question.
Yeah, fair question. So, I came here in 1995. We came here on the guise of seeking asylum. And it wasn't until DACA was passed that we were able to get some protection and start going to university. But once you procure unlawful status, and that's an illegal indication saying you're over the age of 18 and you've been here undocumented, there's no pathway to adjust your status. So I can't show up and apply for citizenship, right? And at that point, I had been in the country 13 years when I turned 18. And after that, there is no pathway. We've done some advocacy work. Francisco and I, we had started an immigrant rights organization during the Trump first presidency. We came to D.C. to advocate for policy that was friendly to all people, immigrants included, and it didn't pass clearly. But we have literally no pathway. Like, I can't show up and apply for citizenship. So that's why we're in an interesting situation where they're, talking about, oh, we're going to go after criminals, and most people don't know is that is a very, very, very small number of people in the United States that are violent criminals that are undocumented. So after that, what happens next? There are millions left. Do we create a pathway to citizenship for them? Or do we continue the deportation process and go after everyone, myself included?
Well, here's what I think. I think the administration prior, right, who opened that door, I think should have started another door to open up citizenship for individuals like you. So in the regard of having to clean up their mess, you get swept in there because you're in the middle. I get it. And what happened to you is actually a story I do hear frequently because, being in the land of the free, everyone here isn't, documented. But I would say it's not just a one party or the other. I think one party has to start, one party has to finish, but it seems like one party is so far on this side and one party is so far on this side.
Yeah.
Now, although I do feel as though I feel that ain't changing. And the reason it's not changing is because I do, and I see it affecting so many cities, including our own in Little South Carolina. It's the #1 place to come and live nowadays. How did that happen? I don't know. I don't know.
Supply to water.
I don't know.
Affordable housing.
Anyway, it's not affordable anymore, though. See
well,
that?
It's a relative statement. Affordable relative to San Diego. Everywhere is affordable to us.
But I'm just saying, no. I'm just saying for us, though. Think about the people that's already been there. We've made a living there. We've been there our whole lives, right?
Yeah.
And we're not talking about in this rural parts of South Carolina, but we live in Greenville, South Carolina.
Yeah.
We do not live in a rural part of South Carolina.
Beautiful.
And to see the prices where they are now is crazy. And it's because there's so many people coming in, plating themselves, and the prices are going up. And it is what it is.
But do you think that's more of a undocumented folk are the cause of that, or is it more that, again, big corporations are allowed, like BlackRock buying a bunch of homes? Because us undocumented folk, we more often than not, we don't qualify for mortgages, so we're just renting. Like I am literally a doctor, and when I was in Chicago going to medical school, I didn't qualify for the Medicare there. So I was an undocumented doctor that couldn't even get insurance. We don't get welfare, we don't get Social Security, we pay taxes, we don't get Social Security, we don't get food stamps. So a lot of us don't even have the means to really tap into that, housing network. Do you think it's more of the greed of banks and corporations, and then they scapegoat immigrants?
I think it's both, because I actually am a mortgage loan originator, so I think it's both. Yeah.
Okay.
I do. I think it's both.
So, well, I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your stay here.